Good evening, I'm Norah O'Donnell and I'm reporting from Rome, where I can see St. Peter's Square and the Vatican City. For hundreds of years, popes have led the Roman Catholic Church. Tonight we have a special hour with Pope Francis. In his 11 years as Pope, he had never given an extended, in-depth interview to an American broadcast network. Did you know that Norah O'Donnell is one of the few women to host a national evening news show in the US? She has a lot of influence in fields ranging from politics to in-depth investigations. O'Donnell, she was the strong face of CBS Evening News, a job that had long been dominated by men and one of the most respected voices in American journalism. But everything changed when an email sent right after Thanksgiving brought news of a life-threatening skin cancer diagnosis. Inside CBS, another battle was going on. O'Donnell was seen as too assertive, too expensive, and too hard to work with, so the network fired her and replaced her with two men. What really happened with Norah O'Donnell? Was it illness, internal politics, or something else that had never been said? The truth about her will surprise you. Norah O'Donnell was born on January 23, 1974 in Washington, D.C. into a family with a strong background in military discipline. Her father, Francis Lawrence O'Donnell, was both a doctor and a U.S. Army officer, which instilled in her a strong sense of seriousness and discipline from a young age. Her personality and the way she reports the news have both been shaped by her Irish immigrant roots. Her grandfather lived in the U.S. illegally for 16 years, which is a family story that Norah would later learn more about as she became a journalist. When Norah was 3 years old, her family moved to San Antonio, Texas, where she spent hot summers running, playing sports, and spending hours in the sun without realizing that these were life experiences that shaped her. After growing up in Texas, she would get skin cancer called melanoma. This was the price she had to pay for her carefree childhood. When she was 10, her family moved to South Korea, where her father was stationed at Yangon Garrison, a U.S. military base. It was her first experience with a completely different culture, but Norah didn't feel out of place. Instead, she jumped at the chance to teach English on the radio while she was still in elementary school. Through recorded video lessons for the Korean Educational Development Institute. She was already comfortable in front of a camera when she was only 10 years old. This experience unknowingly paved the way for her future career in television. After 2 years in Seoul, Norah's family moved back to San Antonio, where she went to Douglas MacArthur High School. Even there, she showed signs of being a journalist who loved writing, debating, and always looking for the truth. After graduating from high school in 1991, Norah continued her education. Goals at Georgetown University by getting a degree in philosophy. This subject not only helped her develop better critical thinking skills, but also gave her a solid background for her career as a journalist, with lessons in logical analysis, structured reasoning, and a strong determination to ask tough questions. After graduating from Georgetown University, Norah O'Donnell quickly started working as an editor at Roll Call, where she specialized in covering the U.S. Congress, but she didn't just report the news, she also wrote about it. Norah's sharp analytical skills helped people understand important policies and decisions better by breaking down the complicated politics. This sharp style of reporting caught the attention of NBC News, which opened the door to a new and exciting chapter in her career. After joining NBC News, Norah went on an amazing 12-year journey at one of the biggest media networks in the U.S., where she held a number of high-profile positions such as chief Washington correspondent for MSNBC and White House correspondent for NBC. She quickly became one of the network's most recognizable faces, appearing on major shows like NBC Nightly News, The Today Show, Dine NBC, and MSNBC Live. Her strong on-air presence cemented her status as one of the most influential female journalists in America. Norah didn't just report news, she also became a news anchor. She was chosen to replace Chris Matthews as the host of Hard with Chris Matthews, a popular political show, and regularly contributed as a political commentator. With her direct approach and sharp delivery, Norah built a strong reputation in political journalism. In 2011, she left NBC to become the chief White House correspondent for CBS News. Her career continued to rise quickly, and on October 10, 2011, she was chosen to replace Scott as the anchor of CBS Evening News, showing that CBS had high hopes for her. In the fall of 2012, Norah reached another career milestone when she was chosen to replace Erica Hill as Working with Gayle King as co-anchor of CBS This Morning created a dynamic duo on TV. CBS This Morning quickly became one of the most acclaimed morning news shows, praised for its sharp interviews and in-depth analysis of America's most pressing issues. From working behind the scenes at Roll Call to becoming one of the most famous names in broadcast journalism, Norah O'Donnell's story is not just one of career advancement, it is also a testament to. You may not watch CBS Evening News every night, but Norah O'Donnell's name is always associated with controversial political interviews, groundbreaking investigative reports, and history-making broadcasts. As one of the few women to anchor a national evening news program in the U.S., Norah isn't just reading the news, she's part of the story, asking the world's most powerful people tough questions. When CBS appointed Norah as the anchor of CBS Evening News in 2019, she became the center of attention right away. She was the first woman and one of only a few women to hold this prestigious position at CBS. But Norah wasn't just following in their footsteps. She was also changing how evening news engaged its audience by being sharp, in-depth, and not afraid of tough questions. Under Norah's leadership, CBS Evening News became the go-to platform for some of the most important stories. In America, one of Norah's most memorable interviews was with Pope Francis in 2024. It was one of the few times that the head of the Vatican agreed to meet with an American journalist during prime time, and the show drew millions of viewers, solidifying Norah's position as one of the most influential journalists in the business. Following the Pope, she also interviewed President Joe Biden soon after he took office, pressing him directly on foreign policy, economic strategies, and the scandals. Some of Norah O'Donnell's most interesting questions were about his age and ability to lead. You will turn 77 this November. Is that too old to be president? His choice of Vice President Kamala Harris, your age, make. The choice of a vice president, even more important. Why do you think Senator Harris is ready to step in as commander-in-chief if necessary? Do you support expanding the number of justices on the Supreme Court? These questions show Norah's honesty and bravery have made her one of the most influential voices in American television journalism. Wendy McMahon, president of CBS News, said that Norah's superpower is her ability to get and then masterfully deliver unmatched interviews and stories that shape news cycles and capture the cultural zeitgeist. Norah wasn't just sitting in a room talking about important issues like leadership, the health readiness of key officials, and judicial reform. She was on the ground in hospitals during the COVID-19 pandemic and on the border with Ukraine when war broke out during the pandemic. She became one of America's most trusted news sources and had direct interviews with Dr. Anthony Fauci, asking tough questions about healthcare policies, the government's response, and the lack of medical supplies. Her investigation into delays in the distribution of personal protective equipment, PPE, put the administration under a lot of public pressure, forcing them to make changes. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, Norah was criticized for not reporting from the scene right away, especially since competitors like David Muir of ABC World News Tonight and Lester Holt of NBC Nightly News were there quickly. But when she did arrive at the Poland-Ukraine border, her in-depth human interest stories won viewers' trust by showing loss and the refugee crisis in a raw and powerful way. With a career spanning over 20 years, Norah O'Donnell has not only anchored the news, she has made it. Norah O'Donnell has won a number of prestigious Emmy Awards, including one for her outstanding investigative report on sexual assault at the U.S. Air Force Academy. In the first part of her series, she talked to the family of Private Nicole Burnham, who had been sexually assaulted while serving in South Korea 9 months before. She also brought attention to a troubling Army Times report that said 1 in 5 service members had seen sexual assault happen. However, almost no one reports harassment, and after Norah brought it to light, the U.S. government had to change its policies to better protect and help victims while also expanding investigations into harassment in the military. This was not only a personal victory for Norah, but also a big step toward promoting women's rights in the armed forces. Norah was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential women, which shows how much of an impact she had. But Norah's leadership was enough to protect her position. Under Norah's direction, CBS Evening News stayed in 3rd place in terms of viewers, behind ABC's World News Tonight and NBC Nightly News. In 2024, the show averaged 4.68 million viewers, less than ABC's 7.78 million, and 44 million viewers, which brought up an important question. Can a journalist stay in power when ratings don't meet expectations? The truth is that CBS was losing viewers even before Norah took over, and in a market that's quickly moving toward digital platforms, just staying in third place was already hard. However, it's undeniable that Norah was a big part of keeping a loyal audience through high-quality interviews and fearless investigative journalism. CBS Mornings praised Norah O'Donnell's shows on CBS. News stories are always historically accurate and deeply compassionate. But as television journalism moves into a new era, will Norah's strength and authority be enough to keep her position in the industry? That's a question that not only CBS, but the whole media landscape is closely watching. Are you a loyal CBS viewer? What do you think of her style? Share your thoughts in the comments. Norah O'Donnell and Jeff Tracy met in a Georgetown University cafeteria line in 1991 when Norah was a freshman and Jeff was a sophomore. Jeff, who was born and raised in New England, was immediately drawn to her. They started talking about a sweatshirt with the name of a boarding school, and what seemed like a casual conversation turned into the start of something amazing. Jeff later said, looking back, it's hard to believe that I met the person I would spend my life with in the very first week of college. While they were at Georgetown, Norah and Jeff were inseparable. They spent many evenings studying together on the top floor of Longer Library while sipping coffee. At Weissmiller, they talked about their hopes and dreams for the future. After graduating, Norah went into journalism while Jeff went in a different direction and became a chef. He graduated at the top of his class from the Culinary Institute of America in 2001, and after dating for almost a decade, they got married at Dalrymple Chapel, a place where Norah had many fond memories from their college years. For Norah, a wedding at Georgetown was not only a big event, it was a testament to a love story that had lasted more than 10 years, from when they were students to the start of their careers. Despite their busy jobs, Norah and Jeff always put their family first. They have 3 kids, twins Henry and Grace, born in 2007, and their youngest daughter, Riley, born in 2008. Norah has said that even though she is a top anchor at CBS, when she gets home, she is still a busy mom, helping with homework, making meals, and enjoying the chaos of being a parent. She also loves cooking and does so with her husband, Chef Jeff, who owns the Chef Jeff's Deluxe Hospitality restaurant chain. Together, they wrote the 2010 book Baby Love, Healthy, Delicious Meals for Your Baby and Toddler, which was meant to help parents make healthy meals for their kids based on their own experience raising 3 kids. Norah proudly said, "When my kids were babies, I never bought a jar of baby food because I knew that homemade meals were always the best." Even though they work in different fields, Norah and Jeff have always been there for each other. During some of the hardest times in Norah's career, like when she was investigating sexual assault in the military and when she was reporting on the COVID-19 pandemic, Jeff was her rock. In a touching Instagram post celebrating their 22nd wedding anniversary, Jeff wrote, "Every once in a while I get something right, 22 years, and still going strong despite their busy lives and..." Despite the huge stresses of their jobs, Norah and Jeff have been married for a long time. They chose to live in Washington, D.C. because they have a strong connection to Georgetown University and the cherished memories they made there. Jeff once said, "Georgetown isn't just where we studied, it's the place that bonded us forever." Their story is not only a love story between a power couple in media and the culinary arts, but also a lesson in how to balance work and family in the journalism industry. Despite the tough competition in the restaurant business, Norah and Jeff have stayed together, showing that true love can last and grow over the years. As a strong and tough woman, Norah O'Donnell never thought she would want to become a cancer patient. As one of America's most powerful broadcasters, she was constantly busy with breaking news, big interviews, and high-stakes reporting. But on Thanksgiving Day 2016, an urgent email from her doctor changed everything. As soon as she opened her email, the ominous subject line made her feel uneasy. When she picked up the phone, she got the terrible news. She had a malignant melanoma on her back. This is the deadliest form of skin cancer, and it spreads very quickly if it is not treated. Norah had always been good about getting her skin checked, but her last one had been 2 years ago. Realizing this, she made an appointment with dermatologist Dr. Elizabeth Hale. During the exam, the doctor found 2 suspicious spots on her back and did a biopsy. The results were grim. One of them was melanoma. The news shocked Norah and her family. Her 9-year-old son, who didn't know how complicated the disease was, asked her, "Is there a chance you're going to die?" That made her realize how serious her illness really was. The doctors told her that the cancer had been caught early and would be cured with surgery right away. In January 2017, Norah had surgery that involved a deep excision, 3 layers of stitches, and a total of 20 sutures to close the wound. Luckily, follow-up tests showed that the cancer had not spread, so she was no longer in danger. But the battle wasn't just physical, it was also very emotional. Not being able to exercise for 6 weeks made her very upset. She started researching melanoma and learned that years of sun exposure, her teenage tanning habits, and her fair skin had put her in one of the highest risk groups. After this life-changing experience, Norah became a vocal advocate for skin cancer awareness. Norah tells people to get regular skin checks and shares her story to bring attention to the dangers of melanoma. She stresses that skin cancer rates are rising quickly, but that most cases can be avoided with early detection. She now gets checkups every 4 months, and during a recent one, 2 new spots were found. Thankfully, they were harmless. Norah also sends a strong message: don't wait to see a doctor until you feel sick. Get checked even when you feel fine. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she worried that many people didn't get regular checkups, which increased the chance of getting serious illnesses like cancer in their later stages. Her story has inspired many, and some cancer patients have even said that her warnings helped them find their illness in time. Melanoma is the most dangerous type of skin cancer. Even though it only makes up 1% of all skin cancer cases, it has the highest death rate, especially if it isn't found early. It can spread to any organ in the body, and about 86% of cases are as a result of too much UV exposure, especially in people who got sunburned as kids or used tanning beds. The risk of melanoma rose by 75%, which was a shocking and alarming number. For Norah, the fight against cancer became more than just a personal battle, it became a mission. She continues to use her fame to help people understand that a simple habit of regular skin screenings can save lives. After everything she has been through, cancer has changed Norah O'Donnell forever. Instead of just reporting breaking news, Norah O'Donnell became a fighter against a disease that could have killed her. How long has it been since your last health checkup? Do you regularly look at your skin for early warning signs? Share your thoughts in the comments. Early detection could save your life or the life of a loved one. Don't wait until it's too late. Norah O'Donnell is more than just a news anchor. She is a journalist who dares to question, confront, and change reality in a field where power has usually been held by men, but she has become a symbol of strength and honesty, changing the role of broadcast journalism. When the Me Too movement started, Norah didn't look away. She spoke out against Charlie Rose and Les Moonves, calling them titans of CBS, even though it put her own career at risk. Her firm stance changed how the media industry dealt with harassment scandals, moving journalism closer to its duty to protect victims instead of protecting perpetrators. Norah didn't just report on change, she drove it. From fearless interviews with U.S. presidents to explosive investigations like the Air Force Academy's sexual assault scandal, she has always shown the truth and held those in power accountable. Her reporting directly led to policy changes in the U.S. military that made victims of abuse safer. As one of the few female anchors of a national evening news show, Norah set an example, but even when she was replaced by 2 male co-workers, she refused to step down, showing that true leadership means standing up for what you believe in. Power is not in the chair, it's in the voice. Norah O'Donnell's battle with cancer was more than just her own struggle. It was a wake-up call for millions of people. Because of her story, more people got screened for skin cancer, which saved lives. From her career to her personal journey, Norah O'Donnell has left a lasting impression. She was once one of the most powerful faces of CBS Evening News. But did you know that her career at the network took a big turn when she was faced with financial pressures and criticisms of the way she managed employees? When CBS's parent company, Paramount Global, announced its merger with Skydance Media on July 7, 2024, there was a massive reorganization that led to the departure of several senior executives, including CBS News president Ingrid Christopher Matthews. As a result of these changes, Norah O'Donnell was removed from her top anchor position as part of the network's overhaul. During her time at CBS Evening News, Norah not only faced pressure from leadership, but also intense scrutiny from within the network. Reports said she was very picky about what she wore and how often she changed her plans at the last minute, which put a lot of stress on the production team. Some staff members said she had a first-class attitude, saying she wanted Gucci slippers put outside her dressing room and a luxury clothing allowance of up to $65,000 per year. Her daily rehearsals, which were seen as very unusual for an anchor with her level of experience, also caused some disagreement. Some producers think she used these. According to an insider, Norah used rehearsals as an excuse to cut reports at the last minute, giving her too much control over the content and causing tension among her co-workers. Norah is a powerful journalist, known for her sharp, assertive style and willingness to ask tough questions, but that very trait made her a controversial figure. Supporters say she was unfairly treated as a woman in a male-dominated industry, while critics say she was just being say that her authoritarian style of leadership brought about her downfall. At a time when CBS was having financial problems, Norah's $8 million annual salary became a burden as the number of people watching the CBS Evening News dropped to about 4 million, much lower than the number of people watching ABC's World News Tonight, 6.8 million, and NBC's Nightly News, 5.5 million. It became more and more expensive to keep a high-cost anchor. When the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, Norah was the only evening news anchor who didn't go to Eastern Europe right away, which caused a sharp drop in ratings. Finally, in January 2025, CBS announced that Norah O'Donnell would be leaving CBS Evening News after covering the U.S. presidential election. This was seen as part of the network's larger plan to streamline its operations. The replacement of a top female anchor with two men, John Dickerson and Maurice Dewey's, caused a lot of controversy right away. Former CBS Evening News anchor Katie Couric called it a setback for gender diversity in the media industry. However, Norah's decision to leave CBS Evening News wasn't just because of pressure from her co-workers. It was also a personal choice, shaped by her awareness of health and work-life balance after battling skin cancer. After having surgery to remove a melanoma tumor, she realized more than ever that her health and family were the most important things in her life. Over a decade of demanding schedules and fierce competition made her realize it was time for a change. In an email to her co-workers at CBS News, Norah wrote, "I've spent 12 years anchoring at CBS News, immersed in daily broadcasts and the relentless cycle of breaking news. It's time to do something." Katie Couric left CBS for ABC, but Norah chose to stay with the network, but in a different role. Instead of appearing on nightly broadcasts, she focused on in-depth investigative reporting and exclusive interviews for CBS Evening News and 60 Minutes. This was seen as a smart move because it let her use her strengths in investigative journalism without the pressures of working for the Daily News. Currently, she splits her time between Washington, D.C. and New York, where she continues to work at CBS. Norah O'Donnell has finally found a balance between her career and personal life. She spends more time with her family and enjoys simple moments with her husband, Chef Jeff Tracy, and their 3 children. Even though she isn't on TV every night, Norah O'Donnell is still one of the most important journalists in the United States. Her colleagues say that her departure from CBS Evening News wasn't a retreat, but a transformation that began a new chapter full of challenges and opportunities for a journalist like Norah. O'Donnell doesn't go away, she just changes how she seeks the truth in a way that is stronger and freer than ever before. What do you think about Norah O'Donnell's decision to leave CBS Evening News? Was it a sacrifice for her health and personal life, or was it the only way for her to survive in the brutal world of broadcast journalism? O'Donnell isn't just an anchor, she's a warrior for the truth who has broken down barriers in journalism, faced power, exposed scandals, and changed how people think about the news. She may have left CBS Evening News, but she has not gone away. From politics to investigative reporting, from fighting cancer to navigating internal upheaval, Norah has shown that strength can't be stifled. Her journey continues, and the stories that lie ahead are sure to be just as groundbreaking. What do you think about Norah O'Donnell's legacy? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to learn more about the people who have changed the media industry. See you in the next video.